Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Calvin, We the Species. Uh, um, and I've been sitting here chatting with Brett Moore for quite a while. He's just out in California. I didn't realize it's really early for him. It's early for me too. I don't love getting up at 9 o'clock in the morning. So it didn't work so great for me, but it didn't work so great for you. But when you're an interviewer like me and you interview and suddenly you find something that you can really grasp. And as I plunged and began to learn about Brett and what he does, it was an oh wow for me. And as we were talking about it, I'm such a supporter and a fan and believer in his work. The official title, he's a retirement planner who helps teachers retire without guesswork. And as I explained to Brett, and why this is so important, this interview for everybody, especially the armies of people, teachers who need to plan. And because my wife was a teacher for 35 years, and if we didn't have some guidance, not all the guidance that Brett is going to give with Appreciation Financial, but if we didn't have some, I don't know where we'd be, and I don't know where I'd be, and so it really, really works, and it really makes a difference in a life, in a retirement that allows me to have a life and to explore the world and do the things you dream about doing. I've been doing, and it's because people like Brett Moore and the work that he does and the appreciation. What I'm trying to express, and I'm a very good expresser, is the stuff really works and it makes a difference. The problem is, I don't know what the percentage is, but so many people don't grasp the timeliness, grasp, if they're in the 30s or 40s, oh, I don't have to worry about retirement. You do, because one day it's going to be there, and so this becomes a hugely important interview. And like I said, I jumped aboard, and as I'm digesting all this, I jumped aboard because I live it and I breathe it, and it's part of every day when we go to the supermarket and we fill up that shopping cart. It's because beneath it all is the fact that we've had some pretty decent, not great, but decent retirement planning. So that's what this is about, folks. This is good stuff. So I'm done with my monologue. Brett, how about if you jump in and do a little background, and then we're going to talk about the meat of this.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. First and foremost, I've been enjoying our conversation. I got started in the financial services industry, been licensed now 23 years. I struggled though. I struggled for the first part of my career and how I got into financial services. I was shadowing my older brother, little brother always following around big brother, especially if big brother's making big money. He was the only individual that I knew that made six figures. And his background was mortgages and real estate, but as he was doing his real estate, he wanted to make sure that those families that he was showing those homes to on the weekends could actually qualify for that house. And as he was having success in that career, someone made a recommendation to him that he should add financial services, making sure that that family he gets into that home can actually, keep that home. God forbid if something happens to the breadwinner, right? Or make some recommendations as far as the kids being able to go to college, make some recommendations for the family to be able to retire. And so when he added financial services to his business, he just fell in love with it. And around that time, I was a sports medicine major freshman year of college, and I said, well, I talked to my advisor, what's the most I can make in this industry? And she says, at the time, 120,000. So I had a couple different choices. Either try to become the very best in the industry of sports medicine, or I could get in business and with my brother as he was embarking on this financial services career. And I got in business with him and going to families' homes and meeting with them, seeing them learn concepts and strategies that I was really starting to gain familiarity with, concepts and strategies like taxation, compound interest, qualified plans, and how those things work. And I always thought that as long as that family had a house and maybe two cars, that they had everything figured out. And that I found more and more that that was not the case. And it was really, really eye opening for me to be able to go to families' homes and be able to help them retire. But I struggled because my success, just like a lot of people that get into financial services industry, my success was predicated on my warm market. And in my 20s, my warm market, they weren't looking to save any money for the future at all whatsoever. And it really wasn't until we stumbled upon the school district market and that things absolutely exploded for me. And I was going to schools and helping teachers and other school district staff just gain a better understanding. And they were wanting this information. And I had the information there, and I said, hey, I can go to schools and kind of hang out with teachers, right? And whether I'm bringing them lunch or bringing them some coffee and donuts or sponsoring a staff meeting and bringing some Jamba Juice or something like that, I'm having a good time hanging out, and then I'm scheduling appointments to meet with them and help them gain a better understanding of their state funded pension as well as the supplemental accounts that are available to them, and putting together a written financial strategy for the future. So that when I got super busy helping as many teachers as I could, I mean, because if I'm working 5 to 10 schools, I mean, that's potentially over 500 people. And then you start helping their spouse, you start helping their kids. And so I got really, really busy. And then I said, hey, it's maybe time for me to turn around, teach and train some others. And so my team and I, over the last 16 years, working in the school district market, we've helped over 150,000 teachers and school
Wow.
district staff. So it's been a really, really good run. And we're looking to even double it in the next 5 to 10 years.
Wow. By the
Yeah.
way, it's not just teachers, it's everything in that school building.
Yeah, anybody that gets a check from the district. So, I mean, literally, I was sharing with you earlier. I mean, walk onto a school campus and it's, the groundskeeping staff, it's the front desk staff, it's the bus drivers, it's the school, speech pathologists, and even the nurses and every single person that gets a check from the district. When I walk on a school campus, it's almost like, cheers, the bar cheers, or everybody knows my name kind of deal. And they're waving you down and saying, hey, I didn't get a chance to meet with you last time you were here. Do you have some time now? And it's really fulfilling that way.
Okay. Okay. So, um, you kind of hinted at this, but what really inspired you to dedicate your career to helping teachers and public servants retire with confidence? And that's the
Right.
key, retire
Yeah.
with confidence.
Yeah. Well, my older brother, he always share with me what comes from the heart goes to the heart, right? And we're, leaving our most prized possessions, our children, with this group of people that are overlooked, that are underappreciated, that are overworked oftentimes. And they retire, they deserve, and it should be a right, but we've made it more so of a privilege in this country to be able to retire with dignity, right? They should be a right for especially for that particular demographic of people. And what made me super passionate about that was actually seeing my brother. And unfortunately, my brother passed in 2021. And I said, hey, let's take and continue this legacy. He was, my brother was so committed to us being the best versions of ourselves. He, in fact, actually had it tattooed here on his forearms where it says, accept your greatness. And so for me, I said, hey, how can I take that a step further? And how can I teach and train others how to accept their greatness by bringing the greatness out of myself? Maybe that will then lend to that side of things. And I just think that working with this particular market is really, really fulfilling. And then, I mean, it's not just sitting behind a computer desk, or it's not just sitting in the office. I mean, being able to get out in the field, actually put the human factor in play these days, and actually interact with people is also very rewarding.
I like that.
Yeah.
What's a big, I like this question, because I can't remember some of these elements. But what's the biggest misconception that educators have about their pensions?
Yeah. The biggest misconception about the educators that they have about their pensions, they think that because so and so retired with a great pension, that I'm going to have this great pension. And literally, a client yesterday, she's got her bestie on campus. She's 38 years old, and she's got her best friend on campus that's actually going to retire this year. She's a little sad about her friend retiring, and it's her buddy. However, she says to me, she's like, well, I was asking her about her pension and how it's set up for her, and I think that, I think I'll be okay. I'm like, you're not going to retire for another 20, 25 years. That the state funded pension is going to change or shift in some form or fashion between now and then. Retirement is such an individualized thing. And I think sometimes that, hey, because this colleague retired and they seem to be comfortable, I think I'll be okay as well. And there's so many times when we, myself, my team, when we meet with someone and we sit down and we actually review their pension, it's very eye-opening that then they start to realize that they are going to experience an income gap in the future, meaning there's going to be a difference of what they're making now or what they're going to be making at retirement age, and then what they're going to receive from their state-funded pension. And a state-funded pension is awesome. It's going to be a lifetime paycheck. However, it's probably not going to take care of, the simple question is this: are you going to need more money or less money in the future? Right. And, I just recall my grandmother, talking to me about that. And she needed more money at 80 something years old than she did at 60 something years old. Right. It's not as if she went out and spent a bunch of money lavishly. It's just that things cost more in the future. Right. And so it's so important that to sit down with the industry professional and put together a written distribution strategy, have some plan in place for sure.
By the way, how can people get in touch with you?
Either go by way of appreciationfinancial.com or find me on LinkedIn, Brett Moore on LinkedIn. I'm there. Yeah, that's the best way to get in
Yes,
contact with me.
I found you there on LinkedIn last night, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure we get that out. Um, I'm not sure about this since it's a real question because I'm kind of clueless. But can you explain the 0% floor concept and why it's such a game changer?
Man, I will tell you, especially in the last couple of weeks with the volatility in the stock market, zero is your hero, right? Meaning that I'm reaching out to a lot of my clients and reminding them that the strategy that we put in place, even though it's a little bit more conservative, I'm not Vegas, five won't get you 10, right? However, by going with a safer money strategy that has that 0% floor, God forbid the market drops, your money's protected. It's safe. It's guaranteed to never lose.
What?
And so, having that gives me peace of mind when I'm helping clients. It gives my clients peace of mind when the stock market drops. Literally, a client yesterday shared with me that, hey, my husband's account, oh my gosh, it's been yo-yoing, it's been, roller coastering and that sort of thing. She said, literally, I can't handle that type of fluctuation at all whatsoever. I like the 0% floor where I know my money is safe and protected and guaranteed to never lose. In fact, when it goes up, it can and that's my new principal balance. It can never go below my principal balance. So that account value that goes from $10,000 to $11,000, it can never go below 11. It goes from 11,000 to $15,000. Can never go below 15. So just having that safe money strategy locks in all your gains. To me, most middle income, upper middle income America, when you ask them how much are you willing to lose, most of them say what? They're going to say nothing. How much do you want to pay in fees? Well, nothing. Okay, great. Then that's probably the strategy that's probably going to work best for you. That's probably the strategy because it's more in alignment. Now, I'm not saying that 100% of your funds have to be in that type of strategy, but you probably should have some safety, some guarantees on some of your money, right? Some of your retirement dollars. And that's the concept and strategies that we approach our clients with.
Which is wonderful.
Right. Right.
We've had that thrown at us as well, and it's just it's a it you can't get that in a liquor store, that peace of mind, it's a wonderful peace of mind in this
Yeah.
day and age to have that. So that was a great question. Um, what does a written distribution a strategy look like? And why is that so important?
So, so many times I meet with clients and let's just say, okay, so you've got a state funded pension and that's going to be one income stream. And there's not a whole lot that we can do to influence that or change that. That's going to be up to the state and their years of service and their average pay and the age in which they would decide to retire. That is up to them. They have the opportunity to contribute to a supplemental type of account, whether it be a 403(b) if they work in the nonprofit sector, or an IRA if they work for themselves, or a Roth IRA, or an index universal life policy. These are all great supplemental strategies, and it doesn't mean that one's better than the next. But if you have an account where it goes up and it goes down, and you don't know the values of why it goes up or goes down, if you don't know the fees that you may be getting charged, what I mean with clients, and they're in that scenario, and it's running rampant. There's a whole lot of clients that are in that scenario. I don't call that a retirement plan. I call it a retirement guess, because you're just guessing and you're hoping that it's going to be enough in the future to help you live on a monthly basis. There's no written distribution strategy. And so I think where myself, my team, where we really shine is actually meeting with clients and say, hey, listen, we're going to put together a written distribution strategy, because there's two phases to retirement. There's the accumulation, your money's growing, and there's distribution. So if you don't have a plan as to how you're going to withdraw the money, what good is it having $100,000 or $200,000 saved in an account if you don't know exactly how you should, or when you're going to start withdrawing and how you're going to withdraw it? And so really having that written distribution strategy in place, and oftentimes we're structuring it to last you for the rest of your life, right? We don't want to run out of and have more month at the end of your money, right? We want to make sure that you've got a written distribution strategy that pays you for the rest of your life, and you can have that peace of mind.
Okay. Uh, just take a breath and go off topic. I always like to go off topic and so here goes. And you don't have to answer it, but it's a one word answer maybe, and you can come up with a couple. But it's a cute question, and I borrowed it from one of my favorite journalists. So here goes, Brett. Excluding family or friends, somebody living or dead you'd like to spend a day with.
Oh, so my answer was always a family member. Before that,
Excluding, excluding.
excluding family or friends, somebody I would like to spend a day with.
Yeah, living or dead.
That's a tough one, man. I
Yeah,
would
it
say
is a
probably,
tough one.
yeah, it is a tough one. I think I would say probably Dr. Martin Luther King.
Great answer.
Yeah,
We were just talking about Dr. King before we went on air.
right.
Uh, and he's one of my heroes.
Yeah, yeah.
Been one, it's funny. Back in August, uh, actually February 1963, and this influenced the rest of my life. Dr. King was speaking. I'm I lived in Newark, New Jersey at
Hmm.
the time. Dr. King was speaking 6 blocks from my house, and he wasn't as well known back and of course in August '63. He gave that famous speech, the March on
Hmm.
Washington. I have a dream speech. But he was speaking literally 6 blocks from my house. So I was 18 years old. When I was a kid,
Hmm.
and I did not seize that opportunity. I could have actually sat in the front row. It was a little temple actually, and that he was speaking at. And I could sat in the front row and been that close to Dr. King, and I blew it, and I didn't
Hmm.
go. And for the rest of my life, that became a siren for me, that you don't let these kind of opportunities pass you by, so you do.
Right.
And so Dr. King had influenced my life in a lot of ways, but that was one of the ways. And so, I mean, so my whole life has been don't not get a chance to see Dr. King's speech. Do it, so it's funny you said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, all right. Oh, by the way, favorite movies?
Bad Boys too.
Okay. Okay.
I just, man, I love their back and forth, their banter, and the sports cars and the action and all that stuff and stuff. The comedy there, it's funny. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
I just like to kind of sometimes go off topic. Um, yeah, it's funny. I'm an old movie person, and I've written my novel based on watching the movie Casablanca. So old movies are a big part of my life. Um, you've helped thousands, as you said, like 150,000. You've helped thousands of clients. Do you have any like special transformation stories that come to mind?
One of my very first, it's a transformation story from like don't judge a book by its cover. I met with a an educator. She was actually at this particular school here in Southern California. She was the liaison between the parents and the the school, and which at the middle school level, like a lot of the parent participation falls off, right? So she had a pretty challenging job just on the participation side of things, but she was also in the center of like this melting pot of the city, like literally 27 different languages being spoken at her school.
Wow.
So one of the things she was sharing with me, she's like, "Oh my gosh, when I host these parent kind of meetings, and I'm attempting to get the parents involved in their students' curriculum because they're coming from different countries and backgrounds. They have different cultures as well. Some of them, don't do coffee. Some, don't even speak to women. And different. She's like, it's been very eye opening. But the thing for me, translating. So I was very intrigued with just her position at the school. Um, but one of the things when we initially met, she had shared with me she had lost $60,000 in her retirement account. And initially, when she told me this, I was like, she doesn't look like she's got, $60,000 to lose. And it was almost like I'm judging a book by its cover, which I learned never to do that. You can never tell how much someone has saved. And sure enough, when we evaluated her account, she had lost $60,000 in her account. And so what we were able to do was put together a strategy for her. We were able to get her back some of the money she had lost by way of a bonus, but put together a written distribution strategy. And within the next few years, she was able to retire. And so she's still one of my favorite clients today. We keep in contact. We're Facebook friends, all that good stuff. And so just being able to help her retire,
Yeah,
get some of the monies back that she had lost. I mean, that's a powerful blow
sure.
to take on when you're within the, let's say, red zone retirement age, right? Within the next 5 to 10 years, you want to retire and you take that big of a step backwards, savings wise, it's a challenge. Yeah.
You just said red zone. Define that for me.
Yeah, so retirement red zone. If you're in the red zone in football, you're within 5 yards, you're trying to push forward and push that ball across the line. And so it's the same is true in regards to retirement. With the clients that are within the 5 to 7, maybe even 10 year range of wanting to retire, a lot of us can't afford to take any steps backwards at that point. Anytime that our money goes down in value, meaning if you lose 10% on your account, you have to actually make up more than 10% to get back even again. So it has to work that much harder just to get back even. So it's really important to make sure that you're starting to position your money into some safety, some protection, especially when you're within that red zone of retirement.
Okay. Um, this is a good question too. What mistakes do people commonly make when they try to manage their pensions alone?
And it's not just their pensions. The other mistake that that I'm finding with a lot of people with these qualified plans when they get to retirement, and other advisors really haven't shared with them about income taxes, right? So meaning that people think it's an age tax for some reason. That's a common misconception. Well, when I get to retirement, I'll be in a lesser tax bracket. That's interesting. Is it an age tax or is it an income tax? Because the last I checked, it's an income tax bracket. It's not an age tax bracket. And so they were like, "What do you mean? I got to pay taxes on the income?" Yes, you're going to pay taxes on the income. So if you're structuring your retirement income with deferred taxes only, deferred income streams only, meaning your pension is going to be subject to 100% of the funds you pull from your pension, subject to future income tax rates. 401ks, IRAs, 403bs, same thing. Then do you think taxes are going up or down in the future? If you're deferring 100% of your retirement income to future income tax rates that you think are going to be higher, it may make sense for us to start something that's going to be tax advantaged. So a lot of our clients have multiple streams of income, some of which are going to be subject to future income tax rates, but some of which are not going to be subject to future income tax rates. So they're tax advantaged that way. So I think the huge misconception is thinking that, hey, I'm going to be making or I'm going to be paying less in taxes. I'm going to be in a lower tax bracket. Well, not if you want to, maintain the lifestyle you've been having, and you're going to have less write-offs in the future as well. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Uh, you mentioned financial peace of mind, which is what you're all about. What does financial peace of mind look like in the real world?
Well, I think financial peace of mind in the real world is having, talk about having enough money at the end of the month, not more month at the end of the money, and being able to, do what you want to do, live comfortably, and be able to take care of your loved ones. I think that in the real world, that's having enough money to go to the supermarket even with the price of eggs, right? That's having enough money to put gas in the car. That's having that, and those are bare minimums. But the reality is, there are some people that are struggling to make ends meet and have those bare minimums, and for certain retirees that didn't prepare properly to be able to do those things. So I think what living comfortably and having that peace of mind is being able to do those bare minimums, but then also do a little bit of extra for those that you care about. Spend time with. I think that's with retirees; they want to spend time with their loved ones. And if you're not able to meet the bare minimums, spending time with the loved ones is that next level. And you're like, man, I'm not able to do that, right? So I got to miss grandkids birthdays and weddings and baby showers and different things, so not having to do those things and being able to spend time with the loved ones on top of meeting your basic needs. I think that's what peace of mind and what most people are looking for.
Brett, I'm sitting here absorbing and listening, and I got to reiterate and say to everybody that I'm here sitting in this chair talking to you because we had some guidance. My wife was the teacher.
Yeah.
I'm repeating myself because I think it's really important because I'm an example of what you preach and what you talk about. And because we had some guidance,
Hmm.
we waited probably a little bit too late to do the kind of things you're talking about. Um, which leads me, again, I'm such a believer in listening and absorbing, and I live it and I breathe it and I
Hmm.
drink it and I eat it. It's because we had some of that guidance that I'm able to enjoy my grandkids,
Hmm.
and all that stuff you just said. It's uh, I sit here in this chair 12 hours a day and I do a lot of reading, which sometimes is dangerous, but I'm always seeing articles. And I'm a card carrying member of AARP, and they're always posting these crazy articles. Not crazy, you know, best exercise, best this, best that, best places, best cities. But I also read all this stuff all the time that based on today and everything else, you're going to need $4 million in the bank to retire. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Is there validity in those kind of scary things?
Well, there is some validity because you want to ideally be living off the interest that your lump sum or your nest egg is making, right? And so the validity behind that is, hey, if you had $4 million saved in an account and that was yielding you were able to gain 5% from it and then pull 5% from it, then now you're financially independent. So now you can live off the interest of that. With the state funded pensions, and that's why I think pensions are still a very, very powerful income source. They're going to pay you for the rest of your life. It's almost as if you have that $4 million nest egg, and it's you're able to live off the interest on a monthly basis from that. Um, so I think yes, there's some validity to that. I think that people, everything now that we're seeing in the economy, whether it's going to be, you know, interest rates rising or whatever they're going to do, and everything getting more expensive, it all screams the need that we need to be saving money on a monthly basis and really building up that nest egg with unforeseen and having something in place, even if we were to get sick, right? Because a lot of the that bigger nest egg need, most of the times we're not just healthy one minute and then killing over the next. It's typically our bodies deteriorate over time. And so, if you were to get sick, do you have something in place where you don't have to exhaust your nest egg to take care of you? Do you have something in place? And I think that's a huge, huge part of
Yeah.
one of the needs for saving so much. It's like, hey, you know, you're going to get sick, you or your spouse, or even both of you, but do you have something in place where you don't just fully exhaust your retirement accounts, which is basically going to yield your monthly income for you, your retirement income. So if you start to dip into that, then it's going to affect both.
I'm living testament to the body changing. When I flipped that calendar, it was the funny. Actually, it's probably a comedy routine. I could do a short little comedy routine on you flip the calendar from your 60s, and the second you hit 70, it's like, oh wow, this, that, this. It's like it's this great conspiracy with your body. I mean, every little thing that you took for granted, even my thumb hurts. Like, oh, and what am I going to do with my thumb? So you're right. You never even conceived, dreamt of this stuff because you don't. It's just like you don't really think about retirement. You don't think about your health. And as I said to you, in the late 60s, I decided I was going to kind of shoot to live a life to promote longevity. Um,
Mhm.
and some of the financial planning works like you're talking about, and for me, it did work for me, the financial planning, because I have a life because of that, what you're talking about, and also the health aspect, keeping this thing really working well, because there's armies of people my age, approaching octogenarian status, are sitting on the front porch drinking prune juice on the rocks in a rocking
Yeah.
chair.
Yeah. Sure.
And,
You got to
and
stay
yet,
sharp.
yeah, and so I'm more productive today than I've ever been. There's something called crystallized intelligence that works for me. Crystallized intelligence is basically what you've lived, you've learned.
Hmm.
So I have under my belt at least 70 solid years of learning. So a Gen Z with 20 years of life and 18 years of learning can't compare to me, because I just have more experience that's up here readily waiting to be retrieved. So,
Hmm.
but anyway, um, another really good question. What should somebody do um, if they're within 5 years of retirement but haven't planned anything yet? I bet that's very common. Do you see that a lot?
We see in about 25% of people
No.
we meet with. I think I mean, let's just say that's their point A. And if that's their point A, then I think the biggest thing is like, okay, let's be realistic as to, hey, maybe what a modified retirement might look like, right? It may not mean that you're able to not work at all. It may be an adjusted work schedule. The good thing with teachers, a lot of them can go back and sub. And so whether in it's not just teachers, all school district staff, a lot of positions, they're able to go back and actually substitute for different sites throughout the district. So maybe it looks like a modified retirement for someone who hasn't saved or doesn't have the time horizons to save enough between now and when they want to kind of take a step back from working. So I think that's one solution there. Yeah.
Okay. Last last official question. And I think this is important too. How can teachers and school staff um, take that first step, that huge first step, without like being overwhelmed?
I think the first step is just to simply get started with teachers and school district staff. Most districts have an approved vendor list. And so I think, they can certainly reach out to me. I'd be more than willing to help them. But there's an approved vendor list that basically every single school district has, and, certainly get together with and go meet with someone and get a feel for whatever their strategy, their plan is. Saving money is always better than not saving money. So don't worry too much about, hey, is this the right plan that's going to get me there to age 65? Make sure, hey, review it every couple of years. Is this plan still in alignment with what I want to create for me? Is it going to be enough in the future? Am I getting charged fees? Is there how much what fluctuation is there? How should I adjust this to be in better alignment with what it is that I want? And just get started.
Okay, just do it.
Yeah, yeah.
That was that was some sports. Just do it. Was that Nike or somebody?
Oh yeah, that's Nike.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Yeah, just do it. Uh, as I said before he went on air, as I said a couple times during this, what you're doing is the real world, and it really works. I'm living. I'm a living testament to your message. And yeah, I do have some regrets that we didn't do it sooner and a little bit more enthusiastically, and we didn't do it with the kind of advice that you provide. So,
Right. Right.
yeah, I never had that. So we did it piecemeal, a little here and a little there, but whatever we did, it was something, and it enabled us. Hey, it enabled me to interview you.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
so this was great. And because I really care and I appreciate what you're doing because I live it. I keep saying that. You can come back. We can talk. You can use me as a poster boy for your message because the stuff really works in the real world. So,
Yeah. No, I look forward to it for
yeah,
sure. Thank
yeah.
you.
Huge thanks. I'm going to stop recording. Don't leave. We'll do a 2 minute wrap. But Brett, this was great. Really, it's a powerful message you're delivering.
Thank you.
Really, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank
Definitely.
you. You made my day. This was great. Thank you, Brett.
Likewise.